My guest today is Michael Washington. He's an esteemed Allegiant airline captain and one of my good friends. We have a great conversation. This is one of my favorite interviews that I've done, actually. And we talk a lot about faith. We talk about how to never give up and expect to learn things like discipline and how consistency can be the driving factor in your success. And just love this conversation with Michael. I hope you guys take something from it and enjoy.
To say I had never done a podcast until the last time we did a podcast, and I'm not even a big person that's a speaker unless it's about something I love, which is airplanes. I love kids, but after the last one, like that was just a good vibe, and we don't have a lot of good vibes in today's time.
Absolutely.
Even when you try to have a good vibe, there's always somebody or something that's trying to discourage that. But that's a good vibe. It's something that people need to hear.
Yeah,
and it's not fluff. It's real.
It's 100% real. And that's the thing, too, that I've realized with this podcast. And before we go, I'm just going to introduce you real quick.
Yeah.
We have Michael Washington on again, and very excited we get this opportunity to record another podcast.
Yeah,
we tried, and I had some technical difficulties, but we're back at it in person, so that can't happen this time. But going back to what you were saying, it's like, everyone has a story to tell, and you can learn something from everyone. It could be the person on the side of the street, or it could be, Warren Buffett or anyone. Like someone has an experience you can learn from.
And there are so many experiences out there, and I think a lot of times they need to be told, but we're shy about being vulnerable to tell your story.
Yeah,
because if you open yourself up,
that's true.
It's hard, even if it's relationships or whatever. So your story, you have to be careful. And then sometimes if you want to tell your story, people get offended. Like, I don't want to hear that. You're trying to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And it's just positive, but a lot of times people are not ready to hear your story. That's another good one. They need to hear, but if you're not in the right mindset, it's like, it does no good. They're not ready.
It's tough. You can't convince them to get ready.
No, and you can't. Yeah. But sometimes we can be good friends, good coworkers, good associates, just by kind of hanging back. It's kind of like following someone. I'm going to hang back maybe 2-3 car lengths, because when they need you, you're right there.
Yeah.
So I kind of look at it like that too. So just hang loose. Just sometimes they're not ready yet, and so.
I fully agree with that. And you never know when someone will reach out and be like, "Hey, I need some help." There's this. I can't remember who said it in our church, but there's this quote. I think it's his name's Henry B. Eyring, and he has this quote where he says, if you assume someone's going through they're going through like a hard time, you'll be right 95% of the time.
It is.
It's like, everyone's going through something.
It is. And it's not anything to be ashamed of. That's life.
Yeah.
Talking about your church, talking about nothing. The Bible talks about days being full of flowers and roses. I think that's kind of a misconception about pretty much any religion. And it doesn't have to be a specific one. I hadn't read everybody's book or whatever, but I do know that nobody talks about everything is just perfect. No, that's not the way it is.
Yeah,
but it does talks about challenges and how iron sharpens iron. It makes you tougher, whatever. It talks about things like that. But these white picket fences and flowers, like,
it's not real. It's crazy.
But those things can come, and they do sometimes. But that's not the way it's designed, for us. But not thinking too deep in religion, but that's just not the way it's designed. It's not going to happen.
You can go as deep as you want.
It's just not, because we won't. The Bible talks about you won't appreciate anything if it's given to you. If I did it, what do I need God for?
Right.
And that we see it all the time. We're all guilty of it. I don't care who you are. You have a good week, and on Friday evening, man, look what I did this week.
It's like, you didn't do that.
And God's like, okay, we're going to do this again. We just had this discussion last week. We're going to do it again. Okay. All right. Wait till tonight then.
Right. 100%.
Flat tire. Run out of gas. Whatever you like.
So I work here in this building, and I do sales here. And so, like, sometimes I will have the worst month ever. And, like, no one's responding to me. Like, I can't get anything scheduled. And it's just, like, so frustrating. But those times I'm always like, all right, God, like, I'm going to do the work. I'm going to put it all forward. I'm just going to need you to help me out here. And he always does. Every time.
And the thing about it is, I think we should be arrogant about it, because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, you really should be arrogant about your walk and your faith that you're like, you know what, He's going to take care of me if I'm obedient. You know, it's still some work that has to be done, but for the most part, He's going to take care of you. It's going to take care of you. Now we get confused sometimes. We want to be taken care of a certain way. It's like, no. That's not the way, that's not what I want for you. You know, when they say, you know, our prayers need to be godly prayers. I said, I don't think God, you know, prayed for hitting the jackpot in the lotto. I don't think that was
that might not be happening.
I'm just saying, I'm just kind of throwing it out there. I'm not knocking it, but I'm just like, I don't think that was a godly prayer. But you know, we just need to be upfront about it. I agree. And understand that, you know, if we can wake up in the morning and the sun hits our face, it's another day to get it right. Yeah. It's another day to try. It's another day to help someone out. You know, I think we talked about this last time that sometimes you come into work as somebody in the back of this building that watches you every day. You have a good day, they have a good day. You have a bad day, they have a bad day. You may not ever meet this person, but because of who you are, they feed off of you. Yeah. And I'm not knocking them for doing it, but that's just going to say that when we get up in the morning with our clothes on, okay, let's try to have a good day, because we're still helping people and changing people and we don't even know it. Yeah. And that's what's powerful about it.
I fully agree with that. I just read a book. It's called The Right Thing Right Now. It's by Ryan Holiday. And he studies, are you familiar with the Stoics? Like,
No, sir.
So it's like Marcus Aurelius, Cato, Plato, just famous Greek philosophers, really. And he's like a modern day philosopher. So he's taking all these teachings from all these Greek philosophers. And there's this principle he talks about being who you are and being true to your character. And how it doesn't matter who you are, like people are watching you. Yes. And so your actions should kind of reciprocate and be the example of like, hey, I say I'm this, I act this way in the dark. Like what you do in the dark matters.
Because there are always people, not meaning to interrupt, but this is real powerful right here. Because there are some people that want to attach to you, but part of them is like, you're fake, you're a fraud. Yeah. I know it's something wrong about you. And they're waiting to find that one thing wrong about you. Like, I knew it. I knew you can't be happy all the time. It's like you say, be who you are in the daylight, be who you are in the dark. Yeah. Because there will come a time where they like, you know what? Yeah, you are the real deal. Like, yeah, I'm not perfect. Yeah. But I'm here for you. But sometimes, like you say, it's that vulnerability. I want to attach myself, but I don't know. Yeah. You can't be smiling that much. You can't be that happy. It's impossible. Yeah, you can smile even during the trouble times. You know,
you totally can. I think that helps you get through it more too.
Exactly. Just like, okay, here we go. You know, and also your conversation. This is just my personal thing. I was always taught that, you know, we all have a different conversation with God. Yeah. You know, and my conversation may not be the same as your conversation, because I know my conversation sometimes are like, Michael, you know better than that. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. God, oh goodness. We just had this discussion last week. Yeah, we did. You know, and I think I really have these hard conversations. Like, what am I going to do with you? Yeah, God, I don't know. I don't even know why I did that. And I feel like my conversations are like really, really hard. You know, driving to work, coming home from work. That's when I have my best ones. Like, oh yeah, I did do that, didn't I?
I mean, I think that's important though. Like that's self-evaluating. It's like making sure that you're always like. What the book was about that I read is like always making sure you're staying true to your character. And for me, my faith has been it's taken a huge role in my life and has guided me to like where I am today. And I like looking back, you know, we have the commandments, we have all these things that some people look at as restrictions, but I think when you understand them, they're protections. Like, and you know what's keeping you in line. And I have to, you know, say it. A lot of that was like godly fear. Like, oh, I know, like, I don't want to mess up. I want to do the best I can. Yeah. I want to be judged rightfully for my actions. And a lot of that is like you said, sometimes self-evaluating isn't the most fun thing to do. But
it's not.
So you got to have those conversations.
But no, I mean, I totally agree with that, because we all talk about, you know, Judgment Day. Yeah. We're going to be judged, whatever. This is not a free ride. I mean, I know what the Bible says, and we talk about, you know, give unto you this and that, but you can't have a life of chaos and then show up like, all right, I'm ready. Yeah. Like, no,
it doesn't work that way.
Like, you know, how long do we have? Let's open up this book. And so, no, I mean, you know, a lot comes of that. And so, you know, we're not here for ourselves. We're here to spread the word or whatever you believe. And, it's just not a free ride.
Yeah.
You know, it's not. And so, like you said, yeah, there is the fear of God. It should be a fear of God.
Yeah.
You know, because he's a jealous God. You know, I can't make this up. It's in the book right
It's
there.
true.
You know, but he will pour unto you like nothing else.
Yeah.
We just have to do right.
That's right.
You know, and do right by others too. But
yeah, there's a, I don't know if you've ever read the Book of Mormon, but I'm sure you're familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
There's this phrase that it says throughout the entire book. It says, if you keep my commandments, you shall prosper in the land. It's like that simple. It's that simple.
It doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me this is all I have to do?
Yeah. All right.
Okay. I mean, there's no confusion.
Yeah.
The blueprint is there.
Now, of course, that doesn't mean it's going to be easy.
No,
But,
but it
says
said.
it. So, yeah. I mean, while we're on the topic of religion, I always like learning about like where you first started learning about faith and like when you decided to take it seriously.
Well, I'm just a good old country boy from Arkansas. You know,
Right.
Grew up, and if you called a black church, that's what it was. You know, grew up in African Methodist Episcopal Church, and you went to church a lot. Sunday morning, Sunday school. Sunday during the day, main service.
Yeah.
Go home, come back, evening service. Saturday, you had youth board or something. You had choir practice on Tuesday nights. I mean, it was.
Yeah, that's intense. It sounds like ours a little bit.
So it was one of those things where you're brought up in it, but like I used to teach a Sunday school class, but there becomes an age of, I call it like from like 17, 18 to like your mid 30s, where it's, I don't want to say it's a lost age, but it's when you start making decisions for yourself. Mom, dad is not forcing you anymore.
Yeah.
Now it's on you. And you have that age because after in their mid 30s, people start coming back to church for whatever reason, things happen in life. But for me, it was just always going to church. But I did it so much. And, you know, I believe in the teachings, you know, and what my parents instilled in me. And I truly believe it. And so it's always been there. I do remember being in my mid 20s going to get baptized on my own, you know, in college. And it was kind of like, yeah, you know, I'm believing, you know, what I'm reading, what I'm hearing. I'm like, yeah, it's time for me to do it for myself. And ever since then, you know, still trying to walk the best I can. Yeah. But it's just always been there. You know, it's just always been there.
And I mean, that's kind of my experience too. Like from an early age, I went to church with my parents and got to the point to where I was about to graduate high school. And in our church, it's like, as soon as you graduate, you go and serve a mission. And I was 18 at the time. I don't think I had long hair in high school, like down to my shoulders. I don't think I did it when I was a senior. But I had to start taking it seriously. And I was like, all right, well, I've kind of relied on everyone else's testimonies and teachings. And now it's time for me to like take that ownership and find out if it's true, and haven't looked back since.
And I think, not to take away from your question, but I think that's so amazing because I remember a 17-year-old Michael, me making a decision like that. Yeah, okay, no, I'm gonna continue going to church if I have to go. But I mean, I just wasn't there mentally. I wasn't. It was just there, but I just didn't have that true for myself connection until later on. So, man.
And I think that, I mean, that's, you know, we were talking that everyone has something to learn from. You can learn something from everybody. Like maybe you going through different experiences early on in your age was different from like me going on a mission. And now we're sitting here.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm learning from you. And hopefully you learn something.
Yeah. It's full circle because, like you say, if you stay true to your teachings, what you've been hearing, and then when you can kind of implement it in life, things you've seen, you're like, oh, wow. Yeah, that is serious. That is true. And so you have to make a decision. Is it just a fluke or is it really the hand of God on me? You know, oh my goodness gracious, kind of back to growing up. I mean, I grew up in a gang infested neighborhood. And when I say infested, I mean infested.
In Arkansas?
Oh yeah, it was bad.
Okay.
Right around 1991, the latter part up until like 94, it had up to like 96, had the highest per capita murder rate. Higher than LA, whatever. And
what part of Arkansas was
Little
this?
Rock, dead center.
Little
What
Rock,
made it so bad was, you know, it's kind of like you grow up with something. Out in LA and California, you grow up with this stuff. We're a bunch of country kids in Arkansas. Yeah. And so when the drugs and the gangs hit, people gravitated to it. And it was bad. You know, I mean, I went to school with 12, 13-year-old kids with a pocket full of money and guns and everything.
That's crazy.
You know,
Holy
and so we had security searches, but they were so random, you just never know. But I mean, I saw it firsthand. And that was just at school. So now you got to come home and deal with this in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But I know God is real because my mom prayed on my dad prayed over me. But even the people in my neighborhood, they wouldn't take me along on the stuff they did.
Really?
Kid you not, they looked after me.
That's
They
awesome.
would do all kind of chaotic stuff. Like, oh, I want to go. Like, no, Mike, you need to stay here.
Yeah.
And so they had that much respect for my family and
Wow.
my mom that they would not take me. So they're part of the reason I'm here, because how is it that I grew up with everybody and I've never been in jail? And some of my friends on their second, third strike, because they were like, no, you don't need to go with us.
Right.
You know, and looking back, I appreciate it.
I was going to ask you how you stayed strong, but it sounds like you had people looking out for you the whole time.
They kept me around just enough to the point where like,
yeah.
No. So I don't know if they saw in me. I don't know if it was out of respect for my mom or what it was, but they never let me go. And so I look back now and like my neighborhood is gone. I mean, it's desolate now, you know.
Yeah.
They've pretty much gutted it, whatever. But, you know, names and faces are still in my head and some are gone. You know,
Yeah.
But it was bad. It was truly, truly bad.
That's crazy. And,
I mean, oh my goodness gracious. I mean,
my dad's told me some stories. He lived in LA during like the Rodney King riots and everything like that. And he would tell me these stories. And I'm like, man, it's just, for me, it's sad to hear stories like that, because you know, like how much hate and how much like anger people have that makes them do terrible acts.
Well, it starts in here, you know. When we're adults, we hope to have somewhat of a conscience.
Yeah.
But it's something that's learned, that's taught, or whatever. Imagine having that much hate, and when you're a kid, you don't have that yet.
Yeah.
So these kids were dangerous. I mean, 12, 13 years old, they didn't have a conscience. I mean, they would just shoot you. Nothing told them that was wrong. They knew it was wrong, but it was just like, it's not there yet. And so that was what was scary about it. You know, I knew a kid, they used to have these called starter jackets back in the early 90s, and they had like NFL teams, NBA teams, whatever. And this kid had a starter jacket. A girl hopped out and said, hey, give me your jacket. He gave it to her. But he said, hey, can I have my brush back? She didn't like the way he said it.
No way.
I already had the jacket, but because he asked for the brush back, killed him. Kid's gone forever.
So sad.
So what's in her head? What does she see at home? Yeah. Because the basic underlying formula of a gang is just acceptance.
Right.
If you don't get acceptance at home, you'll get acceptance somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't understand. I mean, to root out a lot of this stuff, we got to start at the bottom. We got to start with the kids as early as possible.
Yeah.
You know, and so as parents, I'm not knocking, I'm a parent, but we all raise our kids differently. But if we don't put those foundations in there, they get older, that's something else. So imagine your streets are flooded with poverty, but somebody over here has a pocket full of money. Your stomach is growling.
You never know.
You got to make a decision.
Yeah.
Your stomach is growling. The right thing to do, but I want to eat. You know, I go home, my mom is yelling at me, but this guy over here is showing me all kind of love. Okay, he wants me to rob this person or steal, but he's still showing me love. How do you compete with that?
Yeah.
We can talk all day about the right thing, but over here is action.
That's a good point. What do you, because I know like Allie's told me you are a foster parent.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you start getting into that?
So my little brothers and sisters, they all came from foster care.
Okay.
And so when I think I was in college, it started happening. I just love those little guys to death. There's something else now, but I love them to death, you know, and just to be able to see that part of society, being able to see that part of my parents, to be able to take in someone else.
Yeah.
And so fast forward, as I got older and I got married, we always talked about it, you know, and it got to a point where in life that if you don't do something, who else is going to do it? You know, and I'm not saying I'm all great. I'm not. But at the end of the day, I can't fuss that someone got me at gunpoint and stole my wallet if I don't do something about it. Yeah. So how about I get some of these kids and start teaching them the right thing? The person I may save might be myself.
Yeah.
In 50 years from now, let's say 40 something. Yeah, 50 years from now, the life I save may be my own because I took the time to spend time with a child that wasn't mine.
Yeah.
And try to show them a little bit of love. Try to show them the best way possible.
Right.
And so we just always just tried. Kids didn't ask to be here, but they're here.
Yeah.
And so what are we going to do? We can talk about it, talk a big game, or we're going to put action to it. And so
I love that.
we did foster care in Florida. Came out here to Utah, did foster care. And I'm sure we go back to Florida, we'll do foster care again. At some point, I'm going to have to stop because I can't be, I love them too much. I never want to give them back.
Yeah.
So I can't adopt the whole world.
It's true.
But,
well, I have massive respect for you.
I got to stop at some point. But it's just, I love kids. I love them to death. And I don't want to see anyone, let alone a child, in pain.
Yeah.
And some of the stories you hear and you see with dealing with foster care, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to go through that. And so if I can give them a little bit of rest or sleep, come on,
Yeah.
I mean, and basically that's what it's all about. When you get these kids sometimes kind of off subject, when you get them that first night, they sleep. I mean, once they get calmed down.
They're not used to it.
Well, they're not used to it, and it's peace.
Yeah, okay.
There's no yelling. There's nobody knocking on their door trying to come in their room or come in their bed or whatever. If they can get a little bit of trust in you that first night, they'll sleep to noon the next day and get up and just wake up and be like, oh, you're still here. I'm still here. Hey, what's up? What you guys want to eat or whatever? It's kind of like, wow. And that doesn't always work.
Right.
Because each kid has their own story. But if you could just give them a little bit of a reset, just like, oh, goodness gracious, it's been a rough, because it's always a rough day when they get removed. That first day is rough. And so why not try to help out?
Yeah.
I mean, the basic premise of it, just be helpful.
Yeah.
Be helpful. We're here to have a servant attitude. Be a servant.
Be a servant. Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
I love that. There's I keep going back to this book, but there's a story in that book, The Right Thing Right Now, where it talks about this like super wealthy wife.
Mm-hmm.
She married this rich guy, and she's kind of spent her entire life partying and taking everything on a silver platter, and has servants that do like all her chores in the house, like take care of the kids. So she just lives like a party life.
Yeah, exactly.
And then one day she realizes she's not happy. And so she's talking to all these doctors, and the doctors are like, yeah, we don't know what's wrong with you. You seem fine. And then one doctor sits down with her and says, hey, I think what you have to do is realize that the world can't all be glitter and sunshine all the time. Like, that's not how it works. And she goes, well, that's what I want. Like, I just want the glitter and sunshine. And he's like, the glitter and sunshine will still be there, but you'll be giving it to someone else. Like, you'll be the person making the fire now. Like, it's your turn. And I've thought a lot about that. And you bringing up like fostering kids, it's like, I've learned a lot in my life. I have a lot to be grateful for. And there's got to be ways that, I can give back in my day. Maybe, down the road, it could be fostering. But I think that's an important thing that we do, because that's how we help the world.
Yeah, exactly. If we want to, because we get caught up, we're all human. We get caught up in the world. It's me. I want my stuff, whatever. And I don't mean to make it sound so bad, but it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I can go in the parking lot right here, and I know I saw a few $80,000 Teslas out there, some Benz, whatever. And I'm not knocking. I'm just saying that's just the world we live in. But what about if we leave and like, okay, it's Friday. What do I want to do today? You know what? I'm going to go down here to the store. Somebody asks for money. Here you go. Just take what's in my wallet, whatever.
Yeah.
How many of us are bold enough to do that? I'm not saying we should. I'm not judging. I'm just saying how many of us are bold enough to be vulnerable again.
Yeah.
Story I had, and this happened, and this is nothing, I'm not trying to be great or anything like that. Leaving Walmart.
Michael, you're pretty great.
No, nowhere near it. But this one right here, it scared me. Leaving Walmart, and somebody came to my window knocking and say, hey, got my family over here. You have the money? I'm like, no, I don't have anything for you. Pull back, and I kid you not, I drove like 5 feet, and it just hit me. I'm just like, oh, that was a test. I spent the next 30 minutes driving up and down every lane of that parking lot looking for him. And I found him, and I gave him everything in my wallet and said, hey, I don't need anything, but I just want you to have this.
Yeah.
And he said, thank you, whatever. And I saw his wife and his kids over there in the car. Now, it's not my job to wonder what they did or whatever, but for whatever reason, I felt like that was a test.
Yeah.
And that was put on my heart, and it scared me to death. I was like, I can't believe I just said that. And I'm like, I'm not going home until I find these people and give them this money. And sometimes I'm a big proponent of, God shows us things. A lot of times we say we don't see it. A lot of times we do see it.
Yeah.
It's just not what you thought. And so sometimes we got to take a deep breath, like, uh-oh, I think that was a test right there. It's like, uh-oh, And so.
No, I love that story. And it's like, I had a similar experience the other day at Smith's. I was just grocery shopping. I grabbed a little basket, didn't have anything in it yet. And then this lady comes around the corner, and her arms, she literally had it all stacked up. Mm-hmm. And I was like about to walk past her, and then I was like, hey, do you want this basket?
Yeah,
like, just a little thing.
Yeah, small thing.
And I was like, you know what? Allie and I pray every single day to serve. Mm-hmm. And who am I if I don't act on those, opportunities?
And you said it right. The opportunity.
Yeah.
Opportunities to serve.
Yeah.
How awesome is that? I mean, this is what I'm trained to do. And I got an opportunity right there.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. And so it's in your face. And I can only imagine, I've never done a mission or anything like that, but I can only imagine this when you're locked in, you're on a mission. This is what I'm ready to do. And you got to sit there and do it the first time. It's kind of like, all right, what do I do?
You explain it spot on, actually.
What do I do?
Accurate.
I talked to all my friends here, and I love them to definitely tell what their mission is, some of the stories. And like the other day, I had some kids, they knock on the door, and I looked through the camera, and I'm like, oh, there's some kids on mission. I said, hey, what's going on? I think I caught them off guard. Because they were like, and they tried to look down. I don't know if they had a script or whatever. I was like, yeah, man, what's going on, man? How's the mission going? You guys surfing here? Whatever. You guys need any water?
Yeah.
And I think it caught him off guard. And then my son James was trying to get him high five and fist bumps. I'm like, I can't talk today because the kids are acting wild. I said, but if you come back tomorrow, we can sit down and I'll talk your ear off. And so I talked to some of my other friends that did mission. They were like, dude, you probably made their day. They were like,
yeah,
whoa. They
100%.
were like,
I was about to say.
They were like, what just happened here?
You for sure caught him off guard.
They were like, wait a minute. Okay, yeah, we'll come back. I mean, yeah.
It's like anytime someone would say that to us, we're like, wait, really? Like, you want us to come back? Okay.
But no, to be trained to serve and be able to put it in action, this has to be just amazing.
It is an amazing experience. Like, all my brothers have served missions. My dad did. And you go out a boy and you come back a man, really. That's the biggest thing.
I've heard that. One of my best friends who's here, he said he went on a mission. He literally, when they came back, got in the driveway, he said he just broke down.
Yeah.
And mom was like, you okay? It was just like, it was just so much. He had gone through so much. He came back home and he just broke down. It was like, wow. And some of the stories, it seems like every time someone does the mission, they have stories.
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine, and I won't call his name because I'm not sure when he's ever going to tell the story out, but they were at a village somewhere. I don't know if it's Venezuela or something, but long story short, took the boat over, dropped someone else, came back, the boat capsized, was stuck in the water for 2 or 3 hours. And he said, all right, this is it. He said, I literally told them, like, this is it. This is how it's going to happen or whatever. And he could hear boats. They were searching for him. Couldn't find him. He said, out of the blue, this boat was coming towards him. He's waving. And it was like, I guess when you're on mission, you have like a leader or someone that's kind of in charge of you for that group of.
Yeah. There's like a district leader, a zone leader.
Yeah. So it might have been someone like that. And they came, he said, I don't know why I came this way. But they picked him up, whatever, and took him back to the village. And all the locals were waiting because they had heard. He said they were just, praying, whatever. Yeah. And he said, what made it so powerful? He said, I made it back, but, they had a little refrigerator and they had water up in there. He said, they don't ever use that water. I mean, that's like a privilege.
Yeah. And
they gave him that water. And he was like, wow, because they might not see cold water again for months until someone brings it over. And, but he tells that story. He's like, man, it was just eye-opening. I had a buddy of mine. He said they were on a mission in Nashville. Someone put a gun on him. Shotgun.
That's insane.
He's like,
yeah, that's so scary.
I'm like, what do you do? He said, you brush yourself off. The next day you get up and keep going.
Yeah.
And so I hear these stories just kind of like, man, going to mission is kind of intense.
Yeah. My brother, he had a gun pulled on him in Chester, Pennsylvania. My other brother, he served in New York, and so he had drunk people would kiss him all the time.
It's crazy.
But I served in Minnesota, so it's like I just had really nice people. It's great.
You're like, hey, all right,
yeah.
We're good.
Although one time I did eat a frozen hot dog with a bunch of cat hair all over it because it was in a double wide trailer. Yeah, this lady had 13 cats, 4 dogs, and 12 rabbits in a double wide. And while she was cooking dinner for us, like the cats were crawling all over the countertop, and I was like, "All right, this is my challenge. Gotta eat
this is it. Exactly.
Still ate it, but it was a good time. And I think, that taught me a lot about just like the world's about other people.
It is.
It's about like
It is.
serving. Yes, it's important to like make money and take care of your family, but when it comes down to it, that's not what brings
No.
like lasting happiness.
At the end of the day, money is a tool. It's not something that we should celebrate for. Money can bring about things, sometimes can make things easier. It's a tool.
That's it.
It's only worth as much as somebody's willing to accept it for. If
Yeah.
I bring you a dollar bill and you say it's worth 100, I guess it's worth 100.
Yeah.
But if it's worth 50 cents, it's worth 50 cents. It's just whatever we put a value on. But like you say, at the end of the day, growing from being raised in Arkansas, Walmart, Sam Walton, they say up until he died, he would be downtown Bentonville in an old beat up truck. The truck is still up there at the museum, had a big dent in the left side door, and he's right there with overalls on the front steps twirling wood with his friends. Richest man in the world.
So cool.
Richest man in the world.
Yeah.
And he's out there with his friends.
Huh.
And so, like you say, when it's done,
Yeah.
you can't take that with you.
That's true.
You can leave your kids all the money, but if you don't leave them any foundation about how to be respectful with this, I'm leaving you, it does no good.
Yeah.
And the scary part about it, let's be honest. We could pass today, your tombstone will be visited for maybe 1 or 2 generations. After that,
It's true.
nobody knows who you are.
Yeah.
They don't.
There's a quote. His name's Chris Williamson, but he always says, "You're 3 people away from being forgotten, or 3 generations away from being forgotten."
Oh,
it's like, wow,
it's done.
Yeah,
it's done. And I mean, we talk about history now because some of our forefathers, they did great things, but we're 2024.
Yeah,
when we're gone, nobody's gonna think about us.
That's true. That is true.
They don't care about a cell phone.
A lot of people, it'll all be gone.
Yeah,
right?
they don't care about this stuff. And so, what legacy do we leave?
Yeah.
What did our kids learn? What did our coworkers learn? What did our spouses learn? What did we put in place that will help 2 or 3 generations? I mean, that's what it really boils down to.
I agree. It's almost like you're planting seeds of knowledge. And I guess one question I would have for you is like, what do you think one lesson to teach kids should be like a main focus for parents?
To be patient. And I don't mean to rush my answer, but that kind of plays into a lot of things. Being patient will teach you about money management. Being patient is save for it and not blowing the money you just got on, your allowance. Being patient about, even if it's a diet, what you work out, you run, whatever, being patient, good and well that before you can run 10 miles, you have to run 2.
Yeah.
You're going to hurt yourself.
Very much
being patient, being patient when things happen at home, being patient with your kids when it comes to doing their schoolwork or choosing a school or even choosing what they watch on TV.
Yeah.
Just take a deep breath and everything. I had a guy used to tell me if you had an emergency in the aircraft, he would always say, start the watch. It's the little second hand. There's no rush.
Yeah.
Just everything you do being a parent is be patient because we could be slow to say the right thing or be fast to say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And they're going to remember the wrong thing. It's just cute.
Every time.
Oh, goodness gracious. They remember the wrong stuff. But my one thing would be just be patient.
Yeah.
Be patient with them because we were kids. They're kids.
Right.
We did stupid stuff. They're going to do stupid stuff.
That's
you
very
can't
true.
just immediately blow up on us kind of like, okay.
All
right, here we go. And you're going to say it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Be patient. Like, all right, we just talked about this. I fight my daughter now with her diabetes. And sometimes when her machine goes out, she's back to her original shots. And she told me last night, like, hey, how long between my dinner time shot and my nighttime shot? How long can I go? Like, will you take a dinner shot? No. I'm like, okay, time out.
Like, all right.
I was like, all right, you need to take your shot. Okay, I'm like, we talked about this, I mean, come on, you gotta, because I was telling my kids, I'm a 2-lane highway of not being here. I mean, we kind of gotta pick up the pace a little bit faster on being adults.
Yeah.
It sucks, but it's the truth.
That is true.
So you're 13, but you're not a 13 from the 1980s. You're a 13-year-old in 2024.
Yeah.
We got to pick these things up because I'm not always going to be here.
It's true. And I mean, that's one thing that's kind of crazy to think about is like how distracted we are now. And so is it like harder to teach kids patience now than
it is
some of your previous?
It is extremely hard because when you come home, your child comes home, you have 2-3 hours with them before they go to bed or whatever to instill what you can. They have the rest of the day to have social media, to have TV, have friends, have teachers, to have billboards. I mean, they get so much data.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, one of my favorite movies from the 80s was A Short Circuit. He always said, the robot would say, I need more input. And they are constantly getting stuff. I mean, they come back home with like trick-or-treating. It's like, whoa, what did you learn? They like my 5-year-old, hey, what did you learn at school today? Blah, 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 blah. Like, what? I mean, what? You did what? I mean, and so it's you just got to compete. Yeah. And you just got to don't give up, keep, putting in the hard work of trying to do the right thing, say the right thing. Yeah.
Got to be honest. That's one thing I keep telling Allie, I'm like, when we have kids, I'm worried about like devices and all that stuff. Like, that's a big fear of mine.
It's rightfully so, because even if you try to take it away, the schools, and I'm not here to talk about schools or whatever, but it's the truth. Yeah. Like, I don't have Facebook. I miss out on so much because I don't have Facebook. Right. I go downstairs and I go to McDonald's. What do they say on the side? Facebook, like us on Facebook. I just order pizza, like us on Facebook. You kids go to school, they take a picture on the Facebook page of the school. I'm like, I don't want Facebook. Yeah. I don't want my kids to have Facebook.
I know, it's weird. It's like you have to be on it.
They make you, and so no, stand fast in your rules. They don't. Everything is a balance. Yeah. They're going to have technology, okay, but they don't have to have it constantly.
That's true. I mean, moderation in all things.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, but at the end of the day, we pray over our kids and we do the best we can and just hope that it clicks one day. Because the truth of the matter is, they're teenagers. Yeah. It won't click. But later on down the line, it's going to be like, oh, my dad said that. It's like, oh, thank you. It finally clicked. It's gracious.
Oh, that's awesome.
But
yeah, I mean, we'll get to that point. But I mean, life's a journey.
It is.
You got to love it at every level.
And it's exciting. Yeah. Think about it. I mean, having the people have the opportunity to raise another human being to be an asset to society.
True.
Who you raise is going to be the one that's going to cure cancer or cure this. Who you raise is going to be the one that's going to save someone from something. Yeah. We don't know that. And that's what's exciting about the world. You could literally raise someone that's going to save someone's life. Yeah. Neither one of them are born yet.
That's true. That's cool.
I mean, cool. It's like, wow, that's intense right there.
And it's a small world, so you never know.
You never know. And I think it's awesome. And I tell people, if you don't want to have kids, that's great. But if you do, it's exciting. Yeah. I don't even have the words. It's just so awesome. Even during some of the crazy times, like, oh, goodness gracious. But it's still, it's never a dull moment because you're raising a little attitude, a little, I don't even know what you want to say.
I mean, that's the common thread that I hear from everyone is, it's the hardest thing you'll ever do, but it is the most rewarding thing.
But I think one of the reasons why it's hard is because we care so much. You can go out here and wreck your car, like, oh, it's a car. Yeah. I'm upset, but got insurance, so be it. That is a breathing flesh child who you love. Yeah. And that's, we're emotional creatures, we're flesh and blood. And that's the part. And like me, I'm a helicopter parent. Every year I do the same thing. We have little ones and they start school the night before. I can't sleep. Yeah. They're fine. They're like, I don't want to school, whatever. But I am so worried, like, are they going to get bullied at school? Or the teacher going to treat them with respect? Or, I mean, I worry so much. But 2 days in, they're just, oh, I had a good day at school. Yeah. And it's like, oh, thank you. Yeah.
It's finally okay. No, yeah, I can imagine that. Like, I'm going to be a ball of anxiety for the first couple of years, I think, until I get used to it.
But it's so awesome, though. Yeah. It is because you get two people there, and both of you guys are like, what? Yeah. I mean, well, just like the first night, you bring them home. Oh my goodness gracious! And you're so tired, you want to go to sleep, but you're paranoid. It's like, I'm still breathing.
Yeah, you gotta make sure.
You put your hand over their face, whatever. You're like, okay, they're still breathing or whatever. It's just like, they have all these rules. You got to feed them this and that. When we brought Lexus, my 13-year-old, home. We were so tired, we fell asleep. We woke up the next morning, like at 7 a.m. We were like, oh, shoot, we slept through the night. But she slept through the whole night. Hey, there you go. We missed all the feedings. And I was like, whatever, what just happened? But it's, like you said, it's that anxiety. It's like, oh my God, these kids, it's just,
Well, I feel like this is probably safe to say, but I feel like you're pretty calm because you are a pilot and you have a bunch of kids. And I think you've understood how to manage your emotions pretty well. It seems like
experience.
Okay. I like that.
It's experience because I'm not always like that. I haven't always been like that. Yeah. But it's funny you say aviation. Small things like, we go to the simulator twice a year. There was a time where I couldn't stand a simulator. I'm like, oh, I'm nervous. I can't take it. And now you're just kind of like, When are we going to leave?
Yeah.
Because after a while, just like, it is what it is,
Right.
you know, and experience has taught me to be calm. The Bible has taught me to be slow to anger. So you start implementing all these things together in life. It's kind of like, okay, Michael, sometimes you're going to blow up, but sometimes like, okay, take a deep breath, whatever.
Let's go slow.
But I like being that way. I had there was a time when I was in training and I got a phone call from the company. They were like, hey, we're going to switch your partners during training. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. And she said,
sim partner?
Yeah, my sim partner. Kind of and it was awesome. She said, I'm going to switch you up because we have a person and I think your demeanor will suit them better during training because you're calm. I'll never forget that she told me that.
That's a good compliment.
And I was like, yeah, no problem. And we rolled through training and she was like, I appreciate it. I'm like, oh, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I've learned that I don't like to be yelled at. So why yell at other people?
That's true.
I want to learn, but sometimes I may be slow to get something. So why treat people mean or get mad when they're not catching something quick as you think? Yeah. You know? And Allie, I tell you, she's been in the cockpit a lot of times with me and sitting there, and I always tell the person next to me and say, hey, no rush, man. It is what it is. Yeah. You know, let's just take our time, do it right the first time, and we're good. You know, and I think that's in all facets of life, you know, whether you like back to your kids or your spouse, relationship or whatever, just take a deep breath. We never think good when we're angry. Yeah. You know, it's not the way our brain works, you know. So I've just learned just be calm, just take a deep breath. All right, what's going on? You know, because things will happen. They're going to continue to happen.
And that's true.
I'm sorry. You know, I mean, it's just.
No, it's funny you say experience though, because like the more that I've had to go through hard times or, you know, I've had things come up at work that, you know, make me feel like I want to blow my lid or whatever. It's the important thing is to really slow down and to, okay, this is the situation, but how can I make it better?
Oh yeah.
I think there's just a lot of power in that. And with how fast everything moves in the world, it's like, it's rare now to have that opportunity to slow down. But there's a lot of power in it.
It is. And I look at my kids, and I think all except one have been in the hospital for whatever reason. And I don't want to say I'm used to it, but there's the time where it's just like, okay, like my daughter, my oldest, she started developing seizures as she got older.
Holy cow.
Still don't know why.
Really?
But I remember one time I'm driving her to work. She started having a seizure. And I kid you not, I'm holding her and I had a phone right here and I'm trying to drive with my knee in reverse, coming back to the house, just like, all right, yeah, I'm here. Okay, yeah, this is my address, whatever. And I got back and I let her go and I pulled back in the driveway and I come and say, come downstairs. You know, she's having a seizure again, whatever. And was I scared? Of course I was scared, but it's kind of like, all right, it's in motion. You know, it's not,
and it's not going to help her.
It's not going to help her. So we just need to take a deep breath, Mike. Call the paramedics, get her back, make sure she's not hurting herself over there. And it's just like, you know, life. Yeah. It really is it's just life, you know.
It's life.
I mean, I lost the engine in an airplane one time. You know, I would love to say that. I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
I already lost the engine. We got to find somewhere to land. I mean, I literally was just like, let's take our time.
You should tell that story. What happened in that?
So I had been in the airlines for like 2 or 3 years. And I knew a mechanic. He was the nicest guy. He used to always let me borrow his airplane, you know. And a mechanic, aviation mechanics is like a mechanic for a car. The stuff that's there is not in the best shape. It runs, but it's not in the best shape. Free airplane. All right, I took a friend flying. And
it's like a little Cessna?
Yeah. And I'm taking a friend flying, and he's in the left seat. I'm in the right seat. I'm just looking down, and I heard it, and I look, like, okay. And he was like, Mike, what was it? I'm like, it's just spinning a little bit. Yeah. I heard, I was like, yeah. He was like, your plane. I was like, dang, we just lost the engine of this plane.
Oh, no.
But, okay, it's happening.
Yeah.
We're in the air. There is no rush. We got fields everywhere, but the way we were flying, I knew this area. I was like, it's a crop duster strip right there. And so, like, a few seconds later, I see a crop duster. I'm like, okay, all right, let's go for it. So my plane, I crank it over. Like, I'm high, but I think we can make the crop duster strip. And so we have no power, so we're kind of gliding. So you're managing your power, and we turn towards the runway, and I see this kid on this dirt bike on the runway.
No way.
Can't land.
Yeah.
It's the kid. So call it stupid, divine intervention. What does Michael do? Like, let's do a 360. No engine. We do a 360. We're still in the air. I'm like, okay, it's not going to stall. We're still in the air. And we come back around, and I'm high, and I planted down. I mean, we bounced, and man,
Oh man.
so it's an old plane from the
Holy cow.
50s. So these older planes, you had a brake. That's your brake. No, none
Handbrake.
Handbrake.
No way.
Mechanics airplane. When the last time you think he really worked on that?
Oh no.
No brakes.
Really?
No brakes.
You guys just cruised.
So I start turning because there was a cutout down. I start turning, and the plane just slides, and we bump up against this truck. And I'm just like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And I'm just like shaking. I'm like, this is crazy. And this guy comes out. I was like, oh man, this guy's gonna be mad. I tore up his feel or whatever. And I'll never forget the voice. He was like, dang, son, that was awesome, man. You need a beer? And I was like, what?
Like, wait,
we got out in the plane, and when you can see her batteries and stuff clicking around, whatever. He was like, man, you did a good job. He said, I heard you sputtering overhead, and I told my son, get out the way. And it was just like, oh my goodness gracious. And we survived.
Yeah.
We survived, you know.
You hear it tell a story.
And I was just like, oh my goodness gracious, what just happened? Scared me to death, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know, things happen, but it goes back to what you were saying. It's like, it's in motion.
Yeah. 100%.
You know, we can freak out, but we can just like, okay, let's take a deep breath. But that was experience.
Yeah.
Could I have done it at 10 hours? The same thing I did at 7,000 hours. You know, experience talks. It's just like in life. You know, it's just experience taught me right then to just like take a deep breath, Mike. Let's see what we have going. Yeah. And it worked out. Doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to work.
Yeah, you know? Exactly. You just got to land.
You just got to
No, it's interesting, like you say that, because Allie's going through that right now. Like, she's like, you know, every time I step on the plane and like take controls, I'm kind of nervous.
Yeah, you should be.
And it's like, yeah, it's new. Like, you're going to be nervous for a while. But it's like the same thing. Like I told you, I'm in sales here. When I first started in sales, like cold calling people was just terrifying to me.
I can't imagine.
And I was like they're going to yell at me every time. I know it. And now it's like part of my day just to go in a room and like make calls for an hour or two. Like, and it's like, I'm used to it now. It's easy.
And I would be terrified with that because I'll be worried about what my bosses are saying. Like, hey, did you make enough phone calls today? What did you do? I'm just like, I'm trying to do the best I can. I'm sorry.
I mean, my favorite calls are the ones where it's like, I'll start talking to people and they'll hang up. They won't like say anything. And then I'll just like call them right back. And I'm like, hey, I think we got disconnected. I don't know. You got to make fun of it somehow.
Like, I've never heard a disconnect like that.
Yeah.
Kind of sound like a hang up, but I mean, I'm sure we did anyway. So this is what I'm calling about.
Yeah. And it's always like after that, it's like, no, stop calling me. I'm like, all right.
Stop calling you. All right. Well.
All right, fine. That's all you had to say?
I think we got disconnected. I love it.
Yeah.
It's so
like,
awesome.
Come on. It's like I'm a person too.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I'm just trying to make a living.
Yeah.
Just come on,
man. But I do have to ask you this.
Yes, sir.
Because I told Allie I was going to ask you. Have you ever encountered a UFO while flying?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Are you sworn to secrecy?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
A UFO? Really?
I don't know nothing about UFOs. You ask any pilot, they'll tell you they know nothing about UFOs.
Really?
I don't know. None of us know what you're talking about.
Is it a rule? It's a rule. I'm just going to assume it's a rule.
You ask any pilot, especially one on the airline, everybody's going to say the same thing. I don't know what you're taling about. I don't know anything about UFOs. I see other airplanes.
I was hoping you were going to open a can of worms.
That being said, no matter what people believe or this and that, we all have our own opinions. If you fly up to the northwest of Las Vegas, Area 51 is there. You know, you can see it from the sky. It's obvious it's right there. You just can't fly over it. Yeah. They let you fly up against the border or whatever. It's
at any altitude. Is it restricted?
Oh yes, unlimited. Wow. That's the government and the state can do eminent domain. Yeah, they can do eminent domain over airspace. And when I say from the ground, unlimited, 100,000 feet, you better not fly across it.
That's crazy.
And they don't play about that too. Some things they let go. You touch the airspace, they don't play about it. That being said, there's other places out there in the desert that's a lot more secret than that. Yeah. It's a place to the south of that where it's a dry lake bed. And they say planes just taxi in the mountain. And it's like hangar, they just taxi in the mountain. Nobody ever talks about that. They just talk about that right there from the 50s and 60s.
Is that Area S4? Is that what it's called?
I don't know. It's some crazy number. I know it's some out there because even at the Vegas airport, the red and white, not red and white, the red and white 7-3s, they fly Area 51. They have smaller planes, but nobody knows where they go. And so they probably go to the other one.
That's crazy.
At the end of the day, I mean, yeah, they got cool stuff out there. I mean, you go down to Palmdale, right there on the Nevada-California border. I mean, Skunk Works has been around since the 50s. I mean, they develop all kind of cool stuff out there. And some have funky lights.
Yeah.
And, so, I mean, stuff
I just want UFOs to be so real. So I was hoping a pilot would tell me.
When I was going to training in Artesia, New Mexico. We passed through Roswell, and they showed us the field. They showed us everything.
Really?
Well, I mean, even the McDonald's there at the big UFO. You look it up in Roswell. The McDonald's is the big UFO.
That's
It
hilarious.
is the coolest city. You drive down.
It's just UFOs everywhere.
It is so awesome.
That's
It
pretty
is
cool.
so awesome. But at the end of the day, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't sit here and like, oh, heck no, it's not. Can't say that.
Yeah.
Can't
fair.
say that. I can't say that it is. At the end of the day, I mean, we can go back to biblical time. We don't know what was seen and what was not seen. We live in a life of translation.
Yeah. It's true.
And so there's paperwork out there that people have written.
Yeah.
Can we deny it? So to each his own. But
Fair enough.
I've just never seen anything.
Yeah. Fair enough. Happens. I hear there's a big hotspot over like where Camp Pendleton is.
Camp Pendleton. That's south.
It's
south.
California.
Oh yeah. Wait a minute, no, that's north of San Diego, right?
Yeah. There you go.
But I fly up and down the coast a lot. Of course, I don't fly over at night, So most of our trips are during the day. But who knows?
What's the coolest plane you've flown though?
Coolest plane I've ever flown. Oh yeah. 1946 Piper J3 Cub on floats.
Really? It was a float plane.
Float plane, no instruments. The gas gauge is a little tube. It's a little bobble up and you can tell if you have gas. You don't know how fast you're going. You can look at the RPM kind of guess. You fly from the back seat. So you can't see
cool.
That was the most fun I ever had getting my float plane rating. And I did it for my birthday one year, a present to myself, and it was the coolest thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Especially in Florida, you just go from lake to lake to lake.
Oh, yeah.
And what's cool about it is when you land with a float plane, you're always watching out for other people because you attract boats. You land on the lake, boats are just like,
let me see that.
Yeah, what's going on? What's that right there? That's the coolest plane I've ever flown.
Yeah,
that
you
is.
Fly to one lake, swim around a little bit.
Your training is 2 days. You go up to like 1,000 feet your first day for like literally 20 minutes. You go do some maneuvers, and everything else is below 500 feet. You go from pond.
That's amazing.
To pond to pond to pond.
Holy cow!
And you learn how to do cool stuff like tight confined landing, confined taking off. You kind of take off in a curve and just come out like you're simulating like you're in Alaska or some of those places in Alaska. You're just in a valley and you got to circle down and land and circle and get out.
That's crazy.
You would think that a calm day is the best day to land. No, it's not, because they call it glassy water. You don't have any depth perception. You could really tear up your plane.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
It's slick. Huh. So what you do is you could either fly close to the edge, like land, and get some kind of perception. Fly close to home, and just kind of get it in there.
Oh, that's cool. Though.
If you're taking off, you can do like 360 to kind of wake up the water.
Yeah.
That way it's not sticking because glassy it sticks to the float. It's the craziest thing.
That's insane.
But it's so simple.
Cool. Holy cow.
It's so simple and it's so much fun. It's just basic. The door is open of the plane. You're sitting right there. Yeah. You're giving hands. And like,
see, I would love to do it in Minnesota on your hat.
Oh, yeah. Minnesota, they have some of the best.
The land of 10,000 lakes.
Oh, man. There's a lot of seaplanes up there.
And everyone has a lake house.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's a dream of mine, too. That's another story. But yeah, I would love to have a lake house.
Oh, man. Beautiful. I didn't talk about that too much. So she knows. But, yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know. It's cool learning from everyone's experiences. And, like,
Well, I'm a nerd. I'm an aviation nerd. I love airplanes. But the older I've gotten, the planes that go slower are the ones I love.
Yeah.
I've never been a guy that wants to go fly a fighter jet and this and that. Like, no, I'm more of a Cadillac than I am a Ferrari. Just nice and easy going, no rush. It's just, I don't know. It's opened up a lot of avenues for a little kid coming from Arkansas. I've seen places of the world I never thought I would see. Yeah. I met some of the nicest people. I've flown to some of the most challenging airports this world has ever seen. I mean, my first week, I was in Houston working for a company. They called me and said, all right, you going to Mexico City? I'm like, excuse me? Like, what?
Really?
What? And like, okay. And I see the captain downstairs, like, hey, man, I'm new. He was like, oh, I don't need to hear all that, man. We got it done. It's no big deal. We got it. And he was just
awesome.
such a calmest captain.
Yeah.
But it's a challenging airport where a new FO a new first officer can't even land there.
Really?
Certain airports.
Sorry, Allie.
Oh, yeah, you couldn't touch that one. There are certain airports, if you're new, that you're not even allowed to land or take off there.
Wow.
So keep in mind, Provo's in the mountains.
Yeah.
We have crazy winters here. There have been some trips where the guy next to me or the girl next to me, they sat there and cruised. They couldn't take off the land. I had to do most of the flying the whole day.
Holy
because
cow.
they can't do you can't do this takeoff. You can't do this landing.
Yeah, this is on me.
Yeah, you can sit here and cruise and do nothing. But I mean, the U.S. has a lot of challenging airports. Mexico, I used to go down there 4 or 5 times a week in my last company. Very challenging down there.
Yeah.
And then you have a language barrier.
Right.
And then you have thunderstorms, and it's kind of like.
Oh, yeah, I'm from Arizona. I know all about the
exactly. So,
crazy.
I mean, that stuff comes across the border. I mean, it's nuts. But it made me grow up fast. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't my coolest job. My coolest job was definitely flying for the Forestry Commission in Arkansas.
That's pretty cool.
But it was fun flying. And the stuff I do now is fun flying, so I still enjoy it.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing story. Like, you going from Arkansas, being in, a gang-run neighborhood almost, and then now you're a pilot. You're a captain for Allegiant.
Somebody was praying for me, and the man upstairs had something in store for me.
Yeah.
Now it was up to me to kind of realize that, and are you going to follow my lead or are you going to fight me on it? And so somewhere along the line, like, okay. And I even believe that he allowed me to have a want and not even a need. I've always loved airplanes.
Yeah.
Something I wanted, and he allowed a want. And that's something that's even next level. There's a lot of things we want in society, but there are things that we need. And sometimes you won't get your wants.
That's true.
That's just life. Yeah. I was able to get a want, and I can't deny it. It's like, wow. I don't want to tell anybody. I got a want.
Well, it's because you're living there. He blesses you.
I try to do the best I can, and I try to let other people experience the happiness and the joy that I have. Yeah. It doesn't have to be flying. If they say, what brings you so much joy? Well, God brings me joy. But what do you do? I'm like, well, I'm doing something I love doing. Right. Because I touch so many people. One of the things I talk about with my friend, they always say, I said, I want to do my mission. They're like, oh, you going to do a mission, Mike? I said, yeah, but I want to do it on a Disney cruise ship. They're like, what? And I said,
I think we can make an exception.
I said, go with me. I said, you do a mission for 2 years. Think about how many people you touch. I said, let me do a summer. I can touch 20, 30,000 people. I said, I just bring them into one room on the boat. They were like, dang, he might be on to something.
Yeah.
I said, think about it.
Even better, you could just wear the Mickey costume. And when people come up and be like, hey, have you heard of the Church of Jesus Christ?
Yeah, exactly.
And everyone will come see Mickey.
I'm just saying, I'm there. The basic purpose is serving. Yeah. And you can't say that's not serving.
Hey, that's serving.
I am. I mean, as they come on the boat, I mean,
there's actually service missions now in our church.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So if people don't want to go out and do proselyting missions, they can go and work in our food storage system for people.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah. There's cool things.
See, you didn't even tell me that.
So, I mean, I think we could do a Disney cruise one.
See, they've been hiding everything, man.
Those are it's usually for a non-profit or something like that, or the church's services. Yeah. But last thing I'll ask you, if you had someone who was kind of in a similar situation as you were as a kid, but had a big dream or wants to go and do something, do you have any advice for that person or anything?
It kind of goes back to what we were saying before. I can say be patient, but being patient and not seeing any progress, we're human. Michael, I hear you saying being patient, but I'm not making any headway. Michael, I don't have any money. Say if they want to fly, I don't have any money. I don't know this. I don't know that. You're saying being patient, Michael, but no. And so patient it's not really what they want to hear. What they need to hear is don't give up. Don't give up. When you wake up every day, you're dang near cold calling. How do I figure out how to get this done? I want to be a doctor. Well, I might need to call a clinic and meet a doctor because there may be some doctors that don't want to talk, but you might find that one. Like, you know what? Can you meet me at 5:00? Yeah. I'll talk to you after I finish my last patient. I want to be a nurse. I want to be a mechanic. I want to be a pilot. You have to get aggressive in a sense of, I got to figure out a way to do it. And so don't give up. Don't. I mean, it doesn't matter what you want to do.
Yeah.
If podcast is your thing, like, where do I start? Like, hey, I'm sure some people out there.
Yeah.
You could text or email or what they call a DM 10 people. One person's going to answer. They're like, yeah, I'll talk to you about it.
It's true.
So, discouragement, that's going to happen. You're going to get down. You're going to have a lot of roadblocks in anything.
Yeah.
In anything. But that's what makes it so much sweeter when you finally do it. So don't give up. Do not give up. We've been saying the same thing since we heard it when we were kids.
Yeah.
Our parents heard it. But it's true.
It is the truth.
Because if you give up, the person next to you didn't, they're going to get your job because you gave up a second too soon and they kept going. So you grind it out. You keep going.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to self-motivate, which is hard.
Very hard.
It is hard to self-motivate. But it kind of goes into a lot what we put into our bodies and our minds or things, even certain music, That's why, you work out. There are certain things you can listen to and I feel like it pumps you up. You're like, yeah, I can really work out.
100%.
Music is no joke. So certain things we put into our body, put stuff up in there that's positive, put stuff up in there that keeps you going, that puts a smile on your face. Like, you know what? Okay, I thought about that. I'm going to go to sleep. Okay, I'm going to get the next one. Okay, I'm still fired up.
Yeah.
What did you put in your body that night that keeps you going? So don't give up. Don't give up. Because I have friends that didn't get to the airlines. They were in their 40s, almost 50s.
Yeah.
They didn't give up. They didn't give up.
That's amazing.
They had a career and switched careers and they came. I said, but you made it. They didn't give up.
Yeah.
So
that's hard to do. But it's great advice.
It's a struggle.
It's tough.
It's a struggle. We go outside right now and say, I want to be an architect.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to find a way to get the good grades, get into school or do whatever. But you see all these beautiful buildings going up and think, well, how are they doing it? You don't know if that person struggled or not.
That's true.
That architect that designed this building, he may be 67 years old, but he's been in the game for 50 years. He's fought some battles to get there. And so you don't give up. That's why it's so important that we surround ourselves with a village of people that's going to support you.
Yeah.
That's going to push you when you start leaning, because you will lean. You're going to fall over. Come on, get back up. You got it. Keep going. And so that's part of that, not giving up, surrounding yourself with those people.
I agree.
Find that bond. Find that, what do they say? Find people that's evenly yoked. They used to say growing up. Sometimes life is a pyramid. As we get older, our friends become less and less and less because they were just your friend in that season.
Yeah.
And now they really don't need to be, you can talk to them, but they really don't need to be close to you because you're out of that season. You need people that's going to support you and keep on. Hey, you got it. You got to keep going,
It's true. And Allie and I, we always talk about that. I think the reason we love marriage so much is because we support each other and we're there to cheer each other on.
Exactly.
And be there in the worst moments and be there for each other.
You're human. We all desire that feeling of being wanted.
Yeah.
We all desire that feeling of making someone else proud. What is more powerful than making your spouse proud? You know what? I'm gonna keep doing this. And the other day when I text you, say, hey, here's Allie's first flight. Dude, I got it locked in.
I watched it all day.
And how cool is that?
Awesome.
She's happy. Yeah. You're happy. You're proud. She's proud. That's awesome.
It's a blessing. Huge blessing.
Man, that's amazing,
But it's she's done so much work and I've seen it come to fruition, but you don't see the iceberg of work that's all underneath. You just see the top part where she's flying planes now. And that's one thing you were talking about, you always don't give up. I think a big piece of that is don't compare yourself on that journey.
You can't.
You're on your own path.
You can't. And you don't know what other people have gone through.
Right.
You have no idea. Yeah. And then the truth be told, sometimes you don't want to go down that road.
It's true.
We may have bumpy roads, but they may have had a valley. You're like, you know what?
Yeah.
I want no part of that.
There's this podcast with Elon Musk where the interviewer asks him and he says, hey, lots of people want to be you. Mm-hmm. What do you have to say to those people? And then Elon Musk kind of gets all solemn and he's like, I don't think people really want to be me. My mind's a storm. I had all these issues growing up when I was a kid. Yes, I'm the richest man in the world, but I got some issues.
Yeah, can you imagine? Yeah. Don't be careful with that. Cause I have a friend of mine who works for a certain family and he deals with the kids and the family, whatever. He said they're all miserable.
Yeah.
They want for nothing because everything is there.
Yeah.
And some of them are nice, but they literally have nothing because they put all their values in material things. And so when you can have every material things, Nothing.
Yeah.
There's no love in your marriage. There's no love amongst the family. It's just not there.
Right.
And that's kind of sad.
Very sad.
Because we need to realize, people need to realize is that millionaires commit suicide too.
100%.
Happens a lot.
I think there's like most of the interviews I hear of billionaires, it's like they're not the happiest people. It's like you can tell.
And they get to a certain point where they just grind because they've always been used to grinding. They're not going to stop and say, have enough money, I'm done. No, that's just what I'm used to doing.
Right.
And we have to be careful, because whether you're a pilot, doctor, minister, or whatever, we're all battling the same things.
Yeah.
We're
all helping each other out.
Yeah.
You need everyone to make the world go around.
You better. And I wish we would do a better job of understanding that, but that's okay. You get 2, and then 2 turns into 4, 4 turns into 8.
Yeah.
We're going to figure it out.
We'll get there.
We're going to figure it out. Yeah. It looks hard because we got so much social media and so much negativity, but we're going to get there.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while, and it may not be in our generation. We have to accept it. Accept that you may not see it, but in your kids' generation, they may see it. That, things are getting a little bit better. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, they are getting better, whatever. And so
just be the best version of you can be, and
that's all you can do.
The world just gets better.
That's all you do. I'll just say it as, I was going through some things one time, and a guy asked me, he put me on some scriptures in the book of Revelations or whatever, and he was just talking about how, when you get to the point you have peace at night, you go to sleep, there you go.
Yeah.
That make a difference. You're broke, you have a ton of money. Mm-hmm. When you lay your head down and you have peaceful rest, it's like, there it is.
That's good. Yeah. Good
there
advice.
So
it's good to think about. But anything else you would tell the listeners?
First and foremost, thanks for having me. I'm glad we're doing these podcasts. Even when I move, I hope we're still doing them.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to do them.
We'll figure out the technology. But what I would tell people is something is that is really dear to me is just be there for each other. Doesn't matter what you look like, who you are, what you have, whatever. Be there for each other. That's the only way we're going to fix society. Is just being there for each other.
Yeah.
And just accept it. You may help someone. They may not even say thank you. They may spit in your face. We have to be tough enough. Like, okay, that's all right. But I helped them. You know? And so we just gotta take up that vulnerability and just be there for each other. It's hard. Not gonna happen overnight. But it's
great advice.
Just be there for each other. That's all we have is each other.
That's really it. Everything else doesn't really matter. But yeah, thank you for coming on. We're for sure going to keep doing these. I think, we'll figure out the technology piece, but we'll get a couple done before you head down to Florida, which is when is the date?
It's another month.
Okay.
It'll be like the 21st, 22nd, somewhere around next month.
Congrats on that. It's, I know you have family down there, so I'm sure that's nice.
Big blessing, man. It's amazing how things stacked up literally like Legos. It's like, wow, this is really happening. And real quick before I let you go, like I said, the funniest thing was it's not that I got, because the bid was supposed to come out. The bid lets you know if you got it. Yeah. The bid was supposed to come out that morning. It was 10 o'clock and I went to bed. I'm like, the bid is late. I'm not sure what's going on. I wake up the next morning. I have a list of texts from people. And it's so awesome when people are happy that you're happy. They want the best for you. And I had a list of texts from people saying congratulations. And I didn't even see it first. They saw it.
It's a good
I was getting stuff at midnight that I didn't catch. And it was like, hey, you got it, whatever. It's like, it's a good feeling to know that people are actually looking out for you.
And those are the people you got to surround yourself with.
Yes.
The people that get excited when, good things happen to you in your life, or who are there to reach out when you need them.
Exactly.
It's like, those are the people you want.
And that's what friends are for. Friends see excitement when you're excited. They see joy when you have joy. Yeah. And what a great feeling that it's not about me, it's about someone else, And so I just think it's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's awesome too. And hey, when you move down to Florida, you always have a place to stay. You're always a friend. So we'll take care of you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
But yeah, Mike, you're the man. I gotta give you a hug.